Welcome, everybody. My name is Vasbinder, and I'm the director of the Complexity Program. And we're about to start our conference, Hidden Connections. And I would like to welcome you all for what I trust will be a very inspiring and exciting conference. Ooh, I'm not used to this flashing. Most in particular, I would like to welcome Professor Freddie Boy, who will open this conference and get the whole thing going. And of course, I welcome Peter Ho, our guest of honor. I will introduce both Professor Boy and Peter Ho properly before each of them will address you later after I finish my little intro. As we want to get this conference going, I will not say very much, just a few logistic remarks and some thoughts about the theme Hidden Connections. To start with the logistics, please silence all your electronic devices, and please do so now. I'll give you half a minute. Okay. All speakers will have 1.5 hours for their talk and the subsequent discussions, roughly split half-half. It is up to the chairman to watch the timing. After each talk, there's a break for coffee, lunch, or tea, in which you can corner the speaker that you want to discuss further with, catch up with your emails, or just relax and prepare for the next talk. All sessions are chaired by members of the Complexity community. All the talks and discussions will be recorded and will eventually be uploaded on internet. Students, you will see them walking around later, will walk around with microphones. Please make sure that you use one so the speaker and the audience can hear your name, your questions, and your comments. Please state your name clearly and state where you come from. During the breaks, on the first 2 days, we have on display posters prepared by our PhD students of the first NTU Warwick conference, or Winter School on Complex Systems, that we held last week. There will be a prize for the best 3 posters, a very unique prize, I might say, a book about John Holland, signed by John himself. You, the participants to this conference, are the judges, and here is how it works. On your badge, you find a blue sticker that we ask you to stick to the poster you like most. If you walk around the posters, you'll see where you can stick them. And it's very simple. The poster with the most stickers gets the prize. It's a very simple system. Okay, so far the logistics of the conference. Now some words about this theme, Hidden Connections. Some of you may wonder what hidden connections have to do with complexity. And the answer is everything. In many ways, hidden connections is the common denominator of complexity science and the real world. The key to complexity science is in the interactions that take place between the many connected components of a system. These interactions give rise to a behavior of the system that is not predictable from the study of its individual components. Like a traffic jam is not predictable from studying a car, or a flood from a study of an individual raindrop, or a team play from studying an individual player. Similarly, real life manifests itself through the interactions between our environment and us, whether that is a social environment, a political one, or an ecological one. These interactions, be it in the problems we studied in science or in the real world, take place among many connections, and these connections are often hidden from the eye. In a way, complexity science is very different from other sciences, precisely because it deals with the real world and not with the laboratory world of the traditional hard sciences. In the laboratory, we can study things in isolation, disconnected from the real world, as we can develop a language for the things we study, and we can develop a language for the things we study that is disconnected from the language normal people speak. And we do, and in many ways that does not matter because traditional science and the real life develop in different worlds. Not so with complexity. In complexity, our laboratory is the real world, with real people who speak real languages and have real histories. And that real world has real problems, like the economy, the climate, the differences between rich and poor, the speed of urbanization, the changing balance between old and young in our demographic build-up, the loss of diversity in our ecology, or the impact of our technologies. The latter, by the way, is largely the consequence of the applications of knowledge that was acquired through our traditional science in the isolation of our laboratories. The real world that is object of the study of complexity science has to deal with the fact that interactions between different participants do not occur along a linear path, that small changes can have enormous effects, or that seemingly isolated systems are connected in mysterious and rather hidden ways. And these interactions and the problems I mentioned before seem to be connected in some way. Or rather, it may be hypothesized that all these problems have some common organizing principle that lead to their emergence. So it seems to me that the key challenge of complexity science is to find those organizing principles. This conference is not going to give you an answer what these principles are, but it may give you some interesting ideas where and how to look for the hidden connections that are key to those principles. That is, I believe, one of the challenges the Complexity Institute will address in the future. And now it is my honor to introduce Professor Freddie Boy, the Vice President of NTU and the Provost of NTU, to welcome you and open this conference. But before I ask him to come on stage, I would like to identify Professor Boy as one of the key hidden connections between the Complexity Program and the Complexity Institute. And I will explain. The Complexity Program was set up in July 2011 with the objective to establish the Complexity Institute. Our plan was to achieve that objective in about 4.5 years, divided in 3 phases, each about 1.5 years. We were busy working to meet the targets for the second phase when in December 2012, the Board of Trustees decided that the Complexity Program was ready for the translation or the transition into an institute. That, of course, was a great and wise decision that resulted in the launch of the institute 2 years ahead of the original plan. The considerations that led to this decision remain hidden behind the doors of the Board of Trustees. But if I'm well informed, one of the key players behind those doors who helped the board to make that decision was Professor Boy. And so please give a hand to our hidden connection, the Provost and Vice President of NTU, Professor Freddie Boy.